All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the B Team. We got Mike over there hanging out. No headphones today. No headphone mic today. No wires. We got me, and we got a special guest. We got Mike McDaniel on the other end driving. Be safe. Welcome to the show. Before we dive into the football, it's Super Bowl week. I know we'll probably get into some of the Birds. We'll get into the Giants. We'll get into the Pats. We got a lot to talk about here. But we got to start off the show where everything starts at, Mike. We got Tanzo's Beverages. So before we get back into this breakdown, before we get into the Super Bowl, we got to give a shout out to Tanzo's Beverages in Bethlehem. If you're hosting a watch party, heading to a tailgate, or just settling in for a Sunday slate this weekend, Tanzo's is the place to go first. Right? They got a huge selection of beer, craft brews, and RTDs. Those are ready-to-drink cocktails, if you did not know, Mike. Those are high noons, your vodka, your whiskeys, right? Basically, everything you need to get ready for kickoff, they got it. RTDs, yeah, that's what they're calling them these days. They're no longer called vodka drinks for no reason. I don't get it. But what really makes Tanzo's Beverage different is the people. They are family-owned. They're great people. They're local. Head over there, get ready for your Super Bowl Sunday, and they will hook you up. Best in the Lehigh Valley, Tanzo's Beverages, Bethlehem.
All right. So, again, Mike McDaniel, love that you're here. We literally just texted, what was it, like 2 weeks ago? Not even? Like, probably about 2 weeks ago.
You wanted like a week and a half, yeah.
Yep. You wanted to come on the pod. I wanted you on the pod. We're making it happen. Here we are. Mike's driving. I'm home. Just got home from work. We're diving into it. I want to start, Mike. I want to start off with the playoffs. We're at the Super Bowl now. The playoffs already happened. You had your matchups, NFC, AFC. You had really good key matchups on the NFC side with Caleb, the Rams, Seattle, Carolina popping in there. The AFC, same thing. Denver, Houston, and the Steelers. I want to ask you, what were your overall takeaways from, some of the teams that you thought would either lose, would win, some things that kind of surprised you? Just give me your overall takeaways. We'll start with the AFC.
I mean, with the AFC, I thought, kind of all year that they were just a little bit weak this year in general. I think they got some great defenses over there. And I think the Patriots obviously got this far, but the path to get here wasn't really difficult for them. And I just feel like that's going to show. I feel like almost any team in the NFC would have beat the Patriots if they got, or had a good chance at beating them if they got to the Super Bowl. I think the Rams would beat the Patriots. I think the Seahawks would beat the Patriots. I don't think the 49ers would beat the Patriots. I think the Bears have a legitimate shot at beating the Patriots. I just think offensively, they haven't seen anybody really capable of putting up numbers, any real challenges. They got lucky with CJ Stroud, who's, kind of mid at this point.
Mm-hmm.
They got lucky with Bo Nix with the injury, and then they had the bye. So I think my biggest takeaway is how weak the AFC was, and that, the NFC is the premier conference as it stands right now.
Yeah. Now with the Patriots, because this has been it's probably been one of the biggest takeaways from their season overall is, their strength of schedule. Even in the regular season, they were kind of just, beating the teams that they should. We've seen it in the playoffs now where, again, like you said, they took care of business against the Texans and Stroud, and then they took care of business against Denver. But again, those are two top-tier defenses in this league. You and I know that. Do you think that, they're going against – I guess we could talk about the Super Bowl if we want. I guess let's hold on. The Patriots, do you think it's more of a Mike Vrabel and, him being such a good coach, coaching them to, exceeding expectations? Is it Drake May? What are your thoughts about the Patriots roster and what's really generating the wins?
I think that for anybody's circumstance always is going to play a huge factor in whether or not you're successful or not. I don't think that they're not talented. I think that Mike Vrabel's a great coach. I think Drake May has shown how, talented and how league ready he really was throughout this entire year. So I just think it's a combination of the two, the decision-making early on from Drake May, being able to open up the playbook and let him kind of just rip without a lot of guardrails.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the coaching, I think they're just a well-coached team. They're always a well-coached team, the Patriots. And, they had a cakewalk to get here, so they got here. They did what say they should have done by getting
Yeah.
here.
Mhm. Now, so for me personally, and you probably know this too. Like, I had Denver going all the way in the AFC. Obviously, everything that happened, Bills game, the controversial call, which again I still think is an interception. I'm like the only one that does. Maybe there's bias. But even in the Patriots game, what Jared Stidham comes in, he had maybe one very he didn't play bad, didn't play good, for a backup in a big position like that. I thought Denver, was the strong suit for me to make it there, and they were close. Obviously, Bo Nix going out, that doesn't help at all. Did you have a team out the AFC that was who was your choice to make it out?
I definitely really liked the Patriots,
Okay.
especially once it became clear who was in the playoffs.
Mhm.
I want Josh Allen to get there. Like, I wanted him to do it, but just, if I had to bet on it for I didn't bet on them to win if I made any bets, because there's just something about the Bills and Josh Allen that I just can't trust to do the job. Like, it made sense for him to make it despite, maybe some disadvantages. He had the advantage and the experience. And, like, if there was a time for him to have the easiest way to get there, all he had to do was get by Denver. And he made, huge mistakes in that game that, despite the interception, I don't really think that he played like someone that, should have gotten there.
Yeah. Now, the Bills are an interesting story, too, because they've been in this position before. It seems like we see a lot of these AFC teams and even a couple of the NFC teams where they've made the playoffs every single year. They reach some obstacle every single year that is going to, each team's going to beat them. They should be favorites, and they usually are favorites. Obviously, they fired Sean McDermott. They bring in Joe Brady, the OC. Did you think that, is that move going to help Josh Allen? Is it going to help the offense? Is it more of a front office GM thing? Because they're such a wild team to really put a stamp on, because we know Josh Allen's so elite, but nothing's really giving, It could be personnel. Well, I want to hear your thoughts about that.
I just think they needed a scapegoat. Honestly, they're not going to throw Josh Allen under the bus.
They can't.
So
there's no way.
I don't know. I don't think that they ever lose that badly. I don't ever think it's embarrassing, what they do in the playoffs. I don't think Sean McDermott has failed them as a coach at any point. I think it really does come down to the players on the field making the wrong plays, and a lot of times in certain situations it is Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of stuck with him as your franchise quarterback, which isn't a bad thing. Obviously, he's I don't know. I think Josh Allen gets a lot of leeway on certain things and certain decisions, certain things that if other people did, I'm not going to say any names.
Oh, we gonna say that name.
But,
don't worry.
But if other people played the way Josh Allen did, or had a few mistakes in key games the way Josh Allen does, they would be not an elite quarterback in most conversations. Most people wouldn't talk about them in that way. But Josh Allen somehow just, has this criticism bubble around him where he just, everyone wants to love him.
I very much agree with that. Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts. I don't know what it is about playing in the Northeast, especially the NFC East, because I guess Dallas ain't in the Northeast, but it makes no sense. We get so much shit for these guys. You're an Eagles fan, correct? Mike said you're an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about. If our guys have one bad game, look at the Jalen Hurts game against the Chargers. He was god awful, but he took so much crap.
However many games before that with no interceptions, forget how well he took care of the ball for games before that. Just this one game, he's throwing the towel.
Exactly, and we had people on big-time media networks saying that Tanner McKee should be the starter the next week. That's wild to me. It's just, and the same stuff happens with Dak Prescott because he's got the star on his helmet. I'm not saying Dak should be ranked above Jalen Hurts. I've said it many times on this show. Jalen Hurts has a Super Bowl, so he will always be ranked above Dak, and that's just how it should be. I'll always be a Dak guy. But I hear what you're saying about Josh Allen, right? Josh Allen is allowed to make these mistakes and get away with it. He's allowed to lose these big games, and he gets away with it every year. And we're going to come in the next year, and he's still going to be called an MVP quarterback, even though he consistently chokes. There's a guy on Houston right now who played at a high level for many years at Ohio State, playing for the Texans now, and he is dog trash now. He has tanked. Everyone hates on him. He cut his hair today, so I think he's locked in. He's back. But
maybe that's what he needed to do. I don't know. I think he's a fraud at this point. I just think that when I look at him on the field, when things are happening, bad things, I don't trust him. Like, I just think that he ultimately is missing an element of like resilience that is necessary for the position at that level, that I feel like it's always a slippery slope for him. And when shit starts going bad, you can pretty much say that it's going to go bad.
Oh, CJ?
Yeah.
And I can agree with that. But I also, yes, I said to Mike, though, it is hard for a quarterback to never have a consistent group around him. Right, his defense can be as good as it is, but if he doesn't have the same wide receivers playing with him week after week, if he doesn't have a running back playing with him week after week, it's been pretty consistent with the injuries in that group for a couple of years now, which I know is not a good excuse, but for a younger quarterback, it is tougher, I would say.
I don't think his mistakes when I look at him when he's playing in these games and the mistakes he makes, it's like it's like not those forgivable errors where it's like, okay, he was being overly pressured, like he threw an errant pass or an interception and he missed a player. Like the first round, he missed the first half of the first game. Who did they play?
The Patriots.
The Patriots.
They played the Steelers.
The Steelers.
Yeah.
They did not deserve to win that game. Like,
no,
I couldn't believe that they won that game. Like, he just was completely missing. He just looked very antsy and uncomfortable in situations where there was no real pressure. Like, he could have had Nico Collins for an extra probably like 60, 70 yards that game and just like sold multiple times. Like, I just think that mentally, whatever you're saying about personnel, like, yeah, sure. But like, if someone's open and no one's hitting you, and you just got the heebie-jeebies all the time, like that's a frequent thing for you, then I just think that I just wouldn't trust him. I think that anyone else would have taken that Texans team. That defense with any other quarterback and that same group of players on offense would have probably went a lot farther.
And that's I agree. And that's the thing too. Like you have a lot of these teams, like I won't even really throw like Denver could possibly be, because there's a lot of questions on Bo Nix. I believe that he is very good. But Houston's an absolutely prime example where you have such a good defense. And, there was a stretch right around, Thanksgiving, where Houston beat Buffalo on a Thursday night game. I think they won 5 straight because their defense was just playing straight out of their mind. And, obviously it's a team sport. The offense is going to be incorporated in that. Like, that defense 100% disguised the shit out of that offense with CJ Stroud and Woody Marks at running back. Like, that's what you see a lot of these times. And then the playoffs come, and then they play these other teams that are pretty much either equal on paper or a little bit better, and they expose you. And that's exactly what happened in Houston. And Muller, I think you and I picked Houston to beat the Patriots. Me out of spite, because fuck them. But it was a beatdown. I mean, you could see that offense got absolutely exposed by the Patriots defense. And listen, they still play, it was a close game. Like, I think they were only down a touchdown. I think it was 21-13. But yeah, no, I think in regard to CJ Stroud,
no swag, literally no swag, zero aura, negative aura. Yeah.
He is one ugly motherfucker. I'm not gonna lie, bro. But yeah, it's one of those situations where I don't want to see. I don't want to get off topic, but like, Jaden Daniels was kind of the same way. Like, his rookie year was absolutely fantastic. Sophomore slump, got it, bad injury. Like, I hope that, maybe you guys don't, but at least for me, Jaden Daniels can at least get back on track to what he was his rookie year. With CJ Stroud, I don't think he's ever going to get back to that level. It might take years from now. It might be done. And like, the ceiling might have been tapped. I'm not really sure. I think they're not going to give him an extension. I don't think it's going to be.
I think that podcast really fucked him up. Honestly, I think he was very arrogant. Like, after the first year, like that Caleb interaction. I think he just ultimately
he put himself on a platform.
He tried to orform way too quick. Like, he moved too quick with the podcast and trying to little bro Caleb, and the karma from that is coming. And he's just had an insurmountable aura deficit, and I just think you're right, and it's over with.
After
Jaden Daniels is not him, though. Jaden
Yeah,
Daniels will be all right. His demeanor is what I trust.
yeah, no, I agree. Like, I think the thing is too in this league, it's like a sophomore slump is always bound to happen in a way. Like, I feel like the only one, like, even I guess slump, of like Bryce Young, like, he played better his second year than his first, and you could see the progress. Like, Bryce Young, started at the bottom with shit, and then I feel like his trajectory is just absolutely, it's just on an increase. It is just going up and
Yeah.
up. Like, with CJ and Jaden injury aside, but CJ, one spike of a year, and then it just has been downhill ever since.
Stephon Diggs knew something.
That's true. That's true. Even with the Bills, man, and I know we're past them, but for me, the question, just real quick on the Bills, like, was it Sean? Because the way I looked at Sean McDermott, I thought he was solid. I thought usually he would make the right calls as a head coach on fourth down. He managed the clock very nicely. Him getting fired was definitely a shock because, like you said, Mike, a lot of the games in the playoffs that they lost were close ass games. Like, it wasn't like they were getting blown out by 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns. It was field goal games. It was less than a touchdown type of game. So seeing him go, I feel like it was maybe a little premature, but also maybe it just needed to happen because there wasn't any hump. But that's my thought.
You're just trying to like fabricate some motion right now. They're kind of stuck, and I just think they didn't account. They you need luck to win, and go that far, and they just have never had that luck. You never hear McDermott's name in the media. Like, you never hear of a decision that influenced an outcome, but they always wind up losing by a few points.
Yes. Yep.
Which to me is that's all you can ask for. You don't want it to be you want the coach to do the jobs and let the players, finish the job on the field. And I feel like he did that. I think it was a mistake. I think that was you're going to make the playoffs. You're going to have good coaching. Generally speaking, the roster offensively has been questionable. They wanted to draft Keon Coleman.
Yeah, that whole drama.
No, they still managed to produce despite that. Losing Stephon Diggs, never really finding a true number one.
Yep.
Just uncertainty in the offense, and it still happens. And there's nothing negative about McDermott happening, but he's fired now. And now you could have just traded, something good for something worse. You don't know what's going to happen with who is it now?
Joe Brady. He was the OC. Yeah.
Scapegoat.
Yeah, there's going to be questions, and that's even the same with John Harbaugh. Where I feel like it was a very similar situation where the Ravens have just been stumped for the last 5 ever since Lamar's been in the league, and they just have not been able to get over that hump. And it's like, okay, we just got to rip the Band-Aid off. And I think that was similar to what the Bills did. Is rip the Band-Aid off. Let's get some new faces in there. Let's get a new idea. Let's get some new concepts where we can then finally, reach that final stage. But I want to move on and ask you about the NFC now, because for me and Muller, I know the NFC was super electric throughout the whole playoffs. I was very high on the Rams. I thought the Rams were the one to go all the way. I think the best game, in my opinion, was the Bears-Rams game, where Caleb was absolutely incredible, and so was Stafford. What were your thoughts on that side of the playoff bracket?
Yeah, I really wanted the Rams to win. I wanted the Eagles to win. I didn't really believe that much. Once Jalen came out and said, they asked him a question about, the play calling or the offense. And he was like, I'm just doing what I can with the plays are being called. It just was kind of a dog whistle to me that no one believed that they were going to get where they needed to go with what they had. With the offensive coordinator.
So I have a question with that. I've been trying to get a Birds fan on for probably, 2 months, and they've been dodging me consistently because it's nothing negative about the Birds here. But at what point do we look at Sirianni and we question, why did he never take the play calling back? Is it because he's afraid because he stunk before? But it was clearly an issue for most of the season.
You could say it's him trying to put faith and trust, see something through. Maybe we could have turned it around at some point. I don't know. I think that he just wanted to die on that hill, and he's just like probably a really loyal guy. Gave his man's a shot and wanted to see it through and see him prove it, and it just was never going to work.
No, no. It's an interesting scenario there because I feel like his head's always kind of a one play call away from being on a stake in Philly. Sirianni can go out there, get you to a Super Bowl, and if he loses because of his dumb decision making in the Super Bowl, all of a sudden everyone's calling for his head again. No, it's always interesting to ask what Eagles fans think of Sirianni, just because it's so up and down.
I think he does most of everything that you could ask. I think he maintains the culture. I think one thing that they do well of besides AJ Brown sometimes is like they kind of don't like unless it's a leak, like the same way he trusted his mans to call the plays and probably everyone in the building is like, this guy sucks. You're not going to hear that from people on the team. Like there's no one going to come out of tongue and like really say that or like allude to it. And I feel like even when they're unhappy with him, they like ride with him, the players. Like I feel like they have at least like solidarity in the fact that they've had success before. And even if they're not happy in that moment, they're kind of just going to stay locked in to a certain level when the media comes to like criticism on the coaching or this or that, except for maybe AJ Brown at times. But
no, that's all fair.
I don't know.
He does.
I think he's a good culture guy. I think that Howie hired Kellen Moore, right? I'm pretty sure that's how that went.
Yeah.
I think Howie I think he hired this new guy. I don't know what this guy's deal is. It seems like a bet they're placing on him. Like he has no real experience. Like he has no real track record to go off of. We don't really know what to expect. We're just trusting that they cared enough to pick someone that's gonna not, run the same plays out of the same formation, zero motion, zero, disguise, getting the play in sooner, not having Jalen not have time to audible out of the play that they're in to hit the right play. Like I just felt like this was the most bare bones offense you could have possibly ran. Yeah. And they somehow just let the guy run it that way the entire year with no real. We just did the same shit. And everyone could do their breakdowns and know exactly what it is. And they still just said, fuck, we're still going to let them do the same shit. But optimistic for next year. Optimistic.
Yeah. Now, Mike, let me ask you this because this is the question that, it's like, a hard truth question, but also, I need a real answer because so many fingers were pointed at, Kevin Patullo, which was fair because he was dog shit. They were pointed at Sirianni. Were their fingers pointed at Jalen and was it justified? Does Jalen get some of this, blame for how the offense was run? I want to hear your thoughts on this.
So this is what I always say. If you think back to the first Super Bowl appearance in that entire year, do you think of Jalen Hurts as a better or worse passer?
You're asking me. So as of now.
Like comparing now to 2022 offense, Brian Johnson, Super Bowl offense. Is Jalen Hurts a better or worse passer?
I think he's a worse passer.
Right? So if at one point they were asking him to pass more, and clearly he was maybe taking a little bit more risk downfield, he could win the game with it. Like he could throw his way into winning the game. Like it just seemed like there was more freedom and there was more expectation for him to like really throw the ball. So whereas they, got Saquon, Howie got Saquon, and they had to figure out a way to adjust to that. And they just basically told him, I want to say they told him, just don't fuck this up. We could basically run this scheme this way. And I don't think they meant to do this, but I think that by playing the Super Bowl season the way they did offensively, that it kind of nerfed Jalen Hurts' progression as a passer. And they leaned so much on the run that entire year just kind of just set him back. And then they expected to kind of do the same shit again this year is what I think. I think they thought they were going to be able to bully people the same way in the run. That just wasn't the case. It wasn't that, Saquon still had 1,000 yards. We just weren't dominant running the ball. And we also got away from running the ball when we were averaging a good amount per carry in the middle of games randomly all the time. So I just think that, yeah, maybe he regressed a little bit. If that's a finger you can point, like, could he have made certain throws? Is he a little bit antsy in certain ways? And like, is he gonna make like a off script like scramble play? Like, not really, but like I think that that's what they told him to do for an entire year was just don't do extra shit. No extra
And
shit, no heroics.
yeah.
Hand the
Mhm.
ball off. If the play is not there, don't even throw it. There's plenty of times where you'll see Jalen Hurts in the last 2 years, even in the Super Bowl year, I would get tight. I would be pissed. I would be like, yo, throw it. Like, just give him a chance. And he would just take a sack. That was like maturity to a lot of people. And I think that's true, but I think that over time that wears on your psyche and like where you see him double clutching the ball now or you see him folding or making the wrong throw, it's just like when you tell someone to chill, that is like what was kind of turning up in a certain way. Now they don't know who they are anymore. So it's just like, I think he just needs to find his identity more and they need to like promote his development as an actual quarterback to like curb this entire conversation and for the betterment of the team. Like, we're not going to have another season like that. Statistically speaking, that was kind of an anomaly. Like, it doesn't happen like that where you have that kind of a rushing season consistently over time. It's hard to do.
Yeah, and the thing is too, like, when you go back to that year, and I remember we talked to Abe Dibbon about this. He's a big Birds fan. And excuse me, their recipe for success, and we were spot on about this, was when Kellen Moore was there. If you want to win games, you have to go through your offensive line. You have to go through your zone blocking. You got to let Saquon just do what he does. And it worked. And it took them, literally won them the Super Bowl, but it took them to the Super Bowl where then Kansas City was prepared for that. I think Saquon only had about 70 yards that game, maybe a little less, but they were prepared to stop the run and let Jalen Hurts make plays and let him throw the ball. And Jalen Hurts stepped up, and that's where he got a lot of his credit. Then you fast forward to this year, you lose Jason Kelsey. Obviously, you have some injuries on the O-line. You have Kevin Patullo coming, a new system that Jalen Hurts has to learn, and it just kind of faltered. And yet they were still winning games, but it wasn't convincing. And I feel like for Eagles fans, they knew it wasn't convincing, down the stretch. And for me, when I looked at the way Kevin Patullo called the plays, it was super conservative. And honestly, Mike, I feel like Kevin Patullo just didn't trust him to make those type of plays. And in my opinion, I don't think that Jalen Hurts, it's nothing on him because there are quarterbacks in this league that play a similar role where you can't really have him throw 40 plus, 50 plus times a game. It's just not really at the moment, because when you talk about the psyche and whatnot, I just don't think he was ready, and he was ready at all to be pushed to that moment where they were comfortable running the ball with Saquon, letting Jalen Hurts throw these short 5 to 7 yard out routes. But there was no complexity. And that's why I think a lot of the blame is towards Patullo. But I guess, for next year, what would they just hire? Sean Mannion? Is that the OC? Is that his name?
I'm not sure. I didn't when they said the name, I was like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah, no, so did I. I think that's his name. But where do you kind of see this offense, going next year? Where do you see, does AJ Brown get traded? Do you think, is he going to be?
I don't think we can afford to trade him, like, money wise. I think it would be stupid to trade him. I don't know. I think that they need to put the ball back into Jalen Hurts' hands, and I think they need to trust Jalen Hurts. He, like I said, and that's what I'm saying. People are quick to forget 2022. High volume passing team. Like, he's throwing the ball downfield the entire year, like, very well. That's how they got there. Like, yeah, DeAndre Swift was on the team, but it wasn't like, it wasn't anything different. It wasn't anything special with the run game. It was good enough, but like, they were explosive down the field. AJ Brown, 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns. Devontae Smith, bomb. Like, we're letting him chuck the ball down the field, and we're just trusting that. And we got to the Super Bowl, and he played the best that anyone's ever played in the Super Bowl, playing that style of football. I just think that people forget that, and they put him into this box of like, he needs to develop to get there. He was there. He made more mistakes that year and turned the ball over less, playing a more conservative version of that. Can we go somewhere in the middle of 2023 and 2025 Super Bowl? Like, can we be somewhere in the middle of that level of like trust and conservative nature of the offense where like we're letting him really have full access to the field. And like there is people saying that like he's not capable of that, and that's why. Or I know Kevin Patullo told someone who like reported on it that like he's saying that like I can only do so much with Jalen Hurts. And is that a faith
That's what
thing?
I
Like
thought. Yeah.
Brian Johnson and Jalen Hurts were like that. He was pissed when they got rid of him. So like I think it's more of a trust and a relationship thing where he didn't believe in him, so he didn't give him the chance, which is just like a weird hill to die on because he did die on that hill. He didn't trust him, so maybe he had a point, or maybe he just wasn't capable of working with Jalen Hurts in that style, and maybe he really did get nerfed from the Super Bowl season of just handing the ball off a bunch of times and it working, and now
he's one of the more like intriguing quarterbacks because there's always going to be questions around him, whether it be regular fans like ourselves, Mahler's a Cowboys fan, me as a Jets fan, football fans around the country, around the world. Like there will always be some type of question around like, oh, like what kind of Jalen Hurts are we going to get? We're going to move on from this because I want to get to the Super Bowl, but
I got one thing to add, Mike.
Go ahead, Mahler. I forgot what I was going to say.
No, just because. So Jalen Hurts, like as a Dallas fan, yeah, I know like a lot of diehards are like, nah, we gotta hate on Jalen Hurts. You see it on Twitter all the time. Like they talk about Jalen Hurts way too much, right? And there's a reason for that. It's because Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback, or at least was a good quarterback when they let him be, right? You're talking about the Super Bowl year. He played fantastic that season. Those years, I had him in my top 3 quarterbacks. I had him as one of the top quarterbacks. I wanted him out of college. Right, I watched all his games at Bama. I saw him at Oklahoma. Right, he's a good quarterback when you let him just go play, let him run, let him throw some bombs on the field. But I feel like the last 2 seasons, the Eagles rarely let him just be a gunslinger, let one rip down the field. Everything's a slant route or a 10-yard hitch. Like we're never letting this guy just go play. I feel like he's locked in a box because we got to sit behind this run game. And Patullo and Sirianni wanted to play a certain way the last 2 years, and that involved Jalen Hurts not messing up. And this was their way of him not messing up because you can't turn the ball over if you don't let your quarterback just kind of go and freelance. Look at Chicago. They let Caleb kind of do his thing while trying to keep him tame. And yeah, he's going to turn the ball over quite a bit, but he's also going to hit that home run every now and then, and that's going to win you games down the line.
Yeah. I agree.
Now, Mike, let me ask you, Mike. So let's dive into the Super Bowl here. So we got the Patriots with Drake May, Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniel still there. And then we have Seattle with, the Lord himself, Sam Darnold, Mike McDonald, and a pretty damn elite defense. What do you think are some keys for both teams in how to win the game, how to win the big game?
I'm not gonna lie, I think the Seahawks I think they're gonna win by double digits, the Seahawks.
I love that so much.
Like, I don't think the Patriots have any way to go band for band. Like, I don't think they can really contest. Like, I think the battle to win the Super Bowl was last week, or was it last week? Yeah, maybe 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, yep.
Rams. That was the game. That was the Super Bowl. Yeah. This is just a formality. Like, I just don't think the Patriots can actually compete with this team. They haven't even had a remotely similar test. Not as far as like they've went up against good defenses with their offense, but they have not went up against this caliber of offense this year. Am I wrong for saying that? What's the best offensive that they've played this year?
Yeah, people will say Buffalo, but yeah, right now, I mean,
and like you can argue trash, like not that good, just like Josh Allen is good.
Yeah, and the thing is too, like personally, I have to ride with Seattle. I have to ride with Sam Darnold because he's fantastic. I've been on that fucking hill for years, but it's not really like, huh?
I know you're probably in slight, some pain.
No, honestly, I'm actually pretty happy for him. Like, does it hurt seeing? Like, I knew when they got rid of him. Don't get me down this fucking rabbit hole, Mike. But I knew when they got, I knew when they got rid of him, they were making a massive mistake, and then they drafted BYU Zach Wilson. It was terrible. It was terrible. It was terrible. But the way Sam has been playing, he's been progressing so well, and I just absolutely love this duo of him and JSN. And I know there's not everyone just kind of fits their role and they play it so well, which is why I think they succeed so much. And with Kenneth Walker now being pretty much the only running back because Zach Charbonnet's out with an ACL
Bro, they were
injury.
hating on him. What was up with that? Like, I did not understand the Charbonnet love. Like, thank God for the injury, but thank God that he's finally just getting the ball in the way he deserves. Like, the shit made no sense to me ever.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing is, like with Zach Charbonnet, like he was I think he's a very, very solid. I don't think he's a bad running back, and I know people don't like the way he runs and they don't like his style, but like he's kind of like it's like a perfect Kyron Williams, Blake Corum situation, also in Seattle, very similar. But Kenneth Walker, his first 2 years was elite as hell. And now I feel like we're really seeing that. It's like, oh my God, like when you actually give this guy the ball and you give him, the reps that he needs and the attempts that he needs, he makes things happen. And not only is he shifty, but he's also powerful and, he can bounce off a lot of these tackles. My thing is with Seattle, I think the defense is going to be fine. For me, it starts with the trenches. It's going to be special teams, and it's got to be Sam not getting, too caught up in the moment. I think if he could just play like how he has been for the whole season, I don't see them losing. I don't. I think Sam Darnold is built for this moment, and I think, you got to stop JSN, and they're going to try their best to do that with, New England's defense. If you don't stop that guy, this game is over. If you limit him to 4 catches for 40 yards,
I don't think anybody has.
No, nobody has.
Like nobody has got him under 6 catches in the playoffs.
I think there's been one game where I think he either got injured or he struggled, and I forget who it was against, but pretty much
there was a game where they were blowing him out early, and I think he had like a mid game this year. I had him on fantasy, so I don't recall him having less than like 6-7 catches the entire year.
And personally, I think he's easily a top 5 receiver. I said it last year, like, watch out for this guy. Like, I think I called him like a top 10 receiver, but my God, has he flourished, and he's fit that offense so perfectly. And him and Sam just been clicking. I think, honestly, like, it's going to come down in the trenches and just finding a way to stop him for them to even really have a very good chance to win. But, Seattle's got to do the same. So it's going to be a fun Super Bowl, man. I am super excited. I can't wait. I hope Sam wins. I'm praying he wins.
You really think the Patriots have like a real chance to win?
Yeah, I do.
What is the route? Like, what do they have to do to win?
They got to be physical up front. They got to pass protect for Drake, and they need to let Drake. It's weird. I think Drake just has to kind of play flawlessly, and if they don't spy on Drake and they don't contain him, I think he's just going to take off, and they're going to tell him if your reads aren't there and you're in the pocket for 3 seconds maximum, you're there for a while, just take off. Like, they need to find a way to stop his leg.
Oh, I think he's going to run the fuck out of the ball this season. I think he'll have a rushing touchdown.
I think he's going to run a bunch, but I think Seattle is going to be prepared for that, where they're going to have some type of spy on him, or they're going to run, they're going to have the edges way outside the gaps, trying to keep him inside the pocket. That's how I think they're going to play it on defense. But he's got to make the throws, man. And Seattle's going to be ready for it. It's going to be I honestly think it's going to be a dogfight. But you know how the Patriots are, bro. They've been there. They have the experience. Mike Vrabel's,
This ain't no motherfucking Tom Brady.
Yeah, I know this ain't no
Bill Belichick.
I know this ain't no damn Tom Brady or Bill Belichick, but it is the Patriots.
I think that's where people are going to start to think. They're going to start to get this fake nostalgia in their head when they go to the bet slip and they log on to FanDuel. This is the Patriots.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Plus 280. That's a steal.
Yeah, but listen, Josh McDaniel's been there and he's won there too, and I know it's not Brady or freaking Belichick. I know that too. And I hate seeing that name as a Super Bowl, being a matchup in the Super Bowl, but you can't count him out. Like, I don't think, but for me, I told Muller this, I don't think it's a lock. Like, I don't see a lock. Like, I'm not touching the spread. I'm not touching it. I would bet Sam Darnold.
Ultimate spread, -10. Seahawks.
I would bet Sam Darnold with my heart, but my mind, I'm just staying away. Give me like fucking Jason Myers over field goals. I'll take that and I'll run with it.
I like AJ Barner yards. I think that'll be a good weak spot for them to hit. I honestly think that, if they have any success with JSN, I just think he can be at anywhere at any time, so it's just going to be impossible to stop him. from getting receptions, but maybe they'll like minimize the yards. They still have Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp just snapped last game. Like they didn't even realize that they could just give Kenneth Walker the ball a million times until last game. And they figured it out. This secret to their offense somehow was just there all year. I don't know. I don't know. Hunter Henry will have a good game. He's due for a good game. Probably will score. I think he could score the first touchdown. If there's any Patriots shit that happens, it'll be Patriots tight end first touchdown. Hunter Henry first touchdown.
You hear that, Muller?
In my head.
You hear that? That's it right there. But it's good stuff, Mike. That's good. I like that. It's a good way to end off with football.
Like, follow, subscribe. Like, follow, subscribe. Like, follow, subscribe. Back to the show.
Now, I want to ask you, what you're doing, because I've seen your recent videos. Obviously, with your power washing biz, that's great. I love it, and I'm proud of you. You keep doing it. But I see you're a little bit more active on social media. Explain that to me. Let me hear what your ideas are and stuff.
Basically, I had to run a lot of Facebook ads, so I had to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
And a part of figuring that out was figuring out that, like, if you put your face in a Facebook ad for at least, like, local service businesses, you're going to get a lot more leads. People probably want to deal with you more if they feel like they can get to know you a little bit. And I got a little bit more comfortable doing that. Had some pretty good converting ads from that in the last 2 years. And, I've made some videos before, some cooking videos and stuff like that had a little bit of motion, but I kind of got away from content. And then the one day I met my neighbor in the parking lot, and I always used to see him. He used to be pulling up in this cyber truck. His name's CJ. And him and his friend Mark were making this video. They were filming with this ratchet strap. I'm like, oh, what are y'all doing? Like, what is that? And they're like, oh, we're making a video for TikTok Shop. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, and then they started to tell me about it. And I was like, oh, that sounds like adjacent to what I'm doing. Like, I run ads on Facebook for a service, not a product. And then, I convert leads into whatever dollars that way. This is basically kind of the same thing. You're explaining the value proposition, the product, how people need it. And then, you post it and hope that in that case it gets viral, you get commission on it. And I was like, oh, word. So then I started hanging out with them a lot more. And basically, yeah, he just like opened my eyes to like the opportunity of making money off of content. I think that him and my other friend Owen, they just combined their offers. They have this offer. It's called Content Economy, I think is the name on Instagram. And basically it's just, they have two courses. One is how to do TikTok Shop, make money on TikTok Shop. And one is how to get like brand deals directly with brands, user generated content. And they basically have a huge community of people where they're helping people, get paid online, making videos for brands or for products. And, people are crushing it. Like right now I'm on my way to Virginia. I'm meeting up with them. They have, two of the guys that were in their program. One of them was making over I think they just had a 6-figure month on TikTok Shop. So I'm going down here. I haven't really had that much success on it yet, but I'm going down here to make some videos, maybe learn some stuff, kick it with them, and just, try to gain some motion in another way on the TikTok Shop and UGC.
How do you like the content creating and like doing all the editing stuff, thinking of the ideas for that? Because your shit has popped off, bro. I've been seeing it, and I love the cooking videos you posted. I thought were awesome. You snapped on that. But like even just like delivering your messages and whatnot, like on it, like it's because I have Instagram and I see you posting these, these heartfelt messages and your ideas and your thoughts. Like, how do you, I'm trying to like ask a solid question with this, but like, I'm trying to think. Like,
this is good, Mike.
Like, I don't know. Like, how do you get those? Like, how do you get those ideas? And like, how do you, like, how do you just like put it on? Like, I don't know. Like, what goes through your head when you go through all this stuff and you're posting, and like when to post and like what to post? Like, what goes through your head?
Honestly, I just try not to have anything go through my head. I feel like I've always just thought of little, I don't know, the best way for me to describe it is like I kind of think in like Family Guy references. Like I think of things that are like loosely related and I see the relationship, and I like when I describe things, I usually just describe them by comparing it to something that's like not really related but has a similar concept to it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So
That
I
makes sense.
just have always thought in that way, and I talk in that way when I explain a lot of things. And I was talking to them, I was telling them stories when I started hanging out with these guys, and they were like, "You should just start ripping and posting like exactly what you're saying to us, like however you channel that." Like it took me a minute, and I definitely like am getting more comfortable, but I just try to not think about it as much. And like if I think of something or if I believe something, I just try to figure out a way to say it like as organically as possible. Like I don't like I've tried to like write scripts and stuff like that, but most of the times in any video I post, it's just like I'm just recording and I'll just I don't know, just be something on my mind and I'll say.
It's just kind of like off the rip. Like, you think of something and you're like, this would be a good thing to post. This would be a good message to send, like to my followers or whatnot. It's just kind of whatever you're thinking. It's not like you don't have anything like planned. It's just like, oh, like I'm thinking this, let me post it. And I want what people are going to, what people will think about it. And, like your message.
Yeah, or like I mean, there's like parameters you can give yourself. Like I obviously like cooking a lot, so like I just made a cooking video. I like telling stories, so I try to like tell stories sometimes.
Mhm.
And then like I do power washing. I figured out, how to make money with like a service business. So I'm just kind of trying to stay within those parameters, but not like just trying to give value in different ways and just be myself. And then hopefully, at least for like power washing or service business stuff, that at some point maybe I'll have some sort of offering or course or product that people can resource that people can use to maybe start or put some gas in the fire of whatever they're doing with service businesses.
Yeah. And
So
I feel like
that's
that
kind of
helps
maybe
you.
my goal with it.
And like with the power washing itself too, like again, like we follow each other, Facebook, Instagram, and like seeing you post those videos, like I see your progress, and you branch out a lot more with the way you make those videos, and I noticed that, and I'm like, I know that's definitely helping him, get more business, get more clientele. People are seeing that. So like, I guess my question is like, how much has that helped you, as a person, as your marketable self, but also your business.
Oh, I mean, like, well, you're competing against a lot of people in power washing. It's a very low barrier thing. So you got to do anything to stand out. And most people don't want to, like, most people that are blue collar don't really want to film. They don't,
Yeah.
they don't, they might be, there's a lot of funny guys, but they don't really, or charismatic guys, they don't really want to jump out of the window and just let it rip,
Yeah.
or they
No.
don't know how to work the phone.
Yeah.
So
That's it.
me being able to run Facebook ads to the same audience and over like it's just different creatives and different ways to like say that I offer this service. It's like whenever I talk to people in person, they'll be like, "Yeah, we went with you because we just liked you from your video," or they just appreciated that they felt like they could get to know me a little bit before they got to deal with me. So I
Yeah.
think that just that connection, putting your face there, and most people aren't willing to do that. And now, people have caught on. Like at the beginning of last year and the end of the year before that, that wasn't really the strategy. People would just post static images of before and afters because that's what it is. You're like trying to clean. You want this after result, but it's shifted to like videos being rewarded by the ad machine, whatever. But by just adding your character in, that's like one of the biggest things you could do because if you don't have a bunch of reviews on Google or if you're not known, you can like
Yeah.
take that 30 seconds, be engaging and insert your service, and then someone might give you the chance to, close that sale
Buy
or
it.
make that
Yeah.
money, make that connection.
Mhm. Yeah, man. And like,
Speaking of Tanzos, that's how I got that Tanzos job was from a Facebook ad.
really,
And then when I went there, I'm like, oh yeah, I went to Becca, da, da, da. And then we were talking for
word
a
of mouth.
second. And
Dude, they love two things. They love Facebook ads and they love Becca. That is two things that will always get you in the door there. If you got a good Facebook ad and you went to Becca.
yeah,
That's
shout out
funny.
Becca, I guess.
Yeah. Shout out Becca. But Mahler, I don't know how much time we have left. I'm assuming we're getting there. But Mike, I just want to say, man, like, thank number one, thank for hopping on. Number two, like, keep doing what you're doing, man. You're doing great. Like, I see it. Even though a lot, we might not talk as much, but like, I see it. I see your progress. I root for you always. I'm always down to shoot the shit with you on football. You know that. So I just thank you, man. We appreciate you coming on. I hope your bets hit for the Super Bowl. Love your intake on the Birds, definitely, because people have been dubbing us, and it's nice to hear a refreshing, stance on the Birds. So that we want to thank for that, man.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me on. And let's definitely get out, rip some golf, rip some skits. Let's make some skits.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We could do that. We could do that at Bethlehem. That's going to be the plan. Absolutely. I love that.
For sure. I'm always rooting for you guys as well. I've been watching.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Well, Mike, thanks again, bro. We'll talk. And drive safe. You're doing good so far.
Will do. I made it through this. I think I'm good.
Ah, man. Good stuff, man. Thanks again, Mike. All right. Thanks for coming on, bro.
Sweet. Thank you, man.
Peace.
Bye.
Yeah.